Right, 28 November 2020, and today I want to quickly discuss a story that came out in the Zimbabwe Independent this week. So this is going to be a very short feature, less than 10 minutes. And this story is with regards to gold smuggling in Zimbabwe, which is estimated to be $1.5 billion worth every year. So $1.5 billion worth of gold is smuggled out of Zimbabwe every year. And this has been revealed in a report. In fact, there are two reports that were quoted by the Zimbabwe Independent this week. So that is one from the International Crisis Group and one from the Southern Africa Resource. I think that is, I need to get this Resource Watch. So that is the two organizations. The first one is called All That Glitters Is Not Gold. And the second one is Artisanal Miners Being Robbed in Broad Daylight. So according to the International Crisis Group, there are now three factions within Zimbabwe, within ZANU-PF, and also within the government. The first faction is led by Mnangagwa. The second faction is led by General Chiwenga. And a third faction, which is the strongest, is now led by Moyo. So this story came out in the Independent on Friday. You can go and look at it. The full report from the International Crisis Group, I have put the link on it on gambako.com. If you go to gambako.com now, you'll see a summary of basically what the whole story is about. The report is very, very long. But in short, what they're saying is that 1.5 billion is being smuggled out of Zimbabwe, and these three factions are responsible. And whoever between the three factions manages to control the gold trade in Zimbabwe is eventually going to take over. However, something very important and striking that I saw in the report by the Zimbabwe Independent was that they mentioned that General Chiwenga is positioning himself to challenge Mnangagwa before 2023. And I really thought about that a lot. Is it true that General Chiwenga can challenge Mnangagwa? Is he strong enough? Does he have enough support? So I'll give you my conclusion at the end. What I want to do now is I want to give you a summary of what that report by the International Crisis Group says. And also the Southern Africa Resource Watch, these two reports, they basically say the same thing, but the International Crisis Group obviously went a bit deeper into what is going on. So let's start with the first point. I'm going to number these points. 1.5 billion is lost every year through gold smuggling in Zimbabwe. Number two, the three men, Mnangagwa, General Chiwenga, Moyo, they lead competing factions within ZANU-PF and the government. Number three, ZANU-PF politicians are patrons of artisanal miners and machete gangs. So the Makorokosas, they are working for ZANU-PF leaders. Number four, whoever controls the gold trade in Zimbabwe will control and rule Zimbabwe. So between the three, whoever is going to control the gold trade is going to end up leading Zimbabwe. Number five, Chiwenga appears to be positioning himself to challenge Mnangagwa ahead of the 2023 elections. Number six, gold smuggling is thriving because of the monopoly enjoyed by Fidelity refineries and printers. So this point is coming from both reports, the International Crisis Group and from the Southern Africa Resource Watch. So these two reports are saying the thing. FPR, which is the Fidelity refineries and printers, is underpaying and sometimes pays late. And this causes people to go for smuggling. So that arrangement, which is there at Fidelity printers, is causing people to go for smuggling. And then the bulk of gold is smuggled to Dubai, which is key. You remember that we currently have a case in court where Henrietta Rushaya was caught with almost 300,000 worth of gold going to Dubai. So according to the International Crisis Group, the trade in Dubai in gold is now worth 75 billion a year. And the reason is that Dubai is the only country with a cash for gold. So you take your gold and you get cash. All they will give you is a receipt. They do not care who you are. So that is what is causing all this smuggling to Dubai. Then in terms of gold production, Zimbabwe's gold production has increased from 14,000 kgs in 2014 to 35,000 kgs in 2018. The reason being artisanal miners. They are working very, very hard. They are the guys who are producing this gold. However, the majority of this gold is not going into the government coffers for the reason that I've already given, which is that Fidelity Printers is underpaying and they're paying late. Now, I want to quickly conclude on this. As I said, this is a 10-minute video. I don't want to keep it very, very long. I want to go on the issue of three factions. Are these the only factions in Zimbabwe? Mnangagwa's faction, Chiwenga's faction, SB Moyo's faction. Are these the only factions? And is SB Moyo's faction the strongest? And in my view, I do not think this is the case. I do not think these three factions are going to be the ones that go into the future. In fact, my thinking is that there is a fourth faction, which is much stronger than these three factions. And I want to give you my reasons. Firstly, you will remember that after the coup, SB Moyo was poisoned and General Chiwenga was poisoned. So my thinking is that there was already someone who was thinking ahead, who was trying to eliminate these other three factions. And if we consider that Mnangagwa claimed that he was also poisoned, that means the three of them were poisoned, who are being called now to be the faction leaders. And I do not think the person who was poisoning them can be like all of them poisoning each other. My thinking is that there is a fourth faction, a dark horse, someone that we do not as yet know, who is positioning himself. And why do I say he's positioning himself? If you saw the way that Henrietta Rushaya was caught at the airport, it means someone is trying to eliminate the airport as a place where you can take gold through to Dubai. Of course, if you've got a private jet, you can take your gold and take it to Dubai. But that is expensive, and people will see you. If you are flying to Dubai and you've got a jet, we'll see that Mnangagwa has flown from Zimbabwe and he has gone to Dubai, and we'll know that he has taken his gold. But if you want to send 300,000 worth of gold, you will have to go through the airport. A smart person has decided that they want to close that gap so that these guys cannot move their gold through the airport. That means that fourth person is very, very smart. He's trying to get these guys to starve these guys of resources so that they're not able to function. Then I also want to look at the issue of how embarrassing it was for Mnangagwa when everyone, including the British House of Lords, were saying that he's the one who's smuggling the gold. So basically, what this fourth faction has done is to neutralize the other two. Mnangagwa and Chiwenga, I do not think they are as strong as they were before. And also, I do not think SB Moyo is as strong as this International Crisis Group report is claiming. I do not know where he will get his power. Where does SB Moyo get his power to challenge Mnangagwa? I do not think so. However, if there's a dark horse, someone that you don't know, they can catch you with the element of surprise and they'll hit you when you don't expect it. So I believe that there are three factions, but my belief is also that there's a fourth faction that is much stronger, that is plotting and that could surprise the three other factions before 2023, which means that we are in for a very, very interesting time. I also want to mention that there is a relationship between E.D. Mnangagwa and SB Moyo. I do not think SB Moyo would challenge E.D. Mnangagwa directly to take over. Maybe Mnangagwa would hand over to SB Moyo. That would be a more likely scenario. And I do not think General Chiwenga could go up and challenge Mnangagwa openly before 2023. Otherwise, someone will have to eliminate the other. And so I think the International Crisis Group has said a lot, but I do not think they've got it correct in terms of what E.D. Mnangagwa and General Chiwenga and SB Moyo are capable of doing. So I think I've covered everything that is here from the International Crisis Group. You can also go to the Zimbabwe Independent website and read what they've said about this situation. Gold flying out of Zimbabwe, 1.5 billion. And so all the other things that we're looking at, the small monies, I've always told you, if you look at things like drugs, if you look at things like all this COVID corruption, it's cheap change. The real corruption that is happening is billions. And change is not going to come to Zimbabwe until you deal with that 1.5 billion. If people are stealing 1.5 billion, they're not going to allow you to change the status quo. So things are going to remain the same for a very, very long time. We are probably going to see change within ZANU-PF, but they will not allow an opposition party to come in, which is why a fourth faction, a dark horse that includes the opposition, people like Kasukuere, people like Jonathan Moyo, these people are agitating. And the public face of this faction is going to become clearer and clearer as we go towards the elections in 2023, if we get that far. So I think I need to wrap this up. I've passed my 10 minutes. I want to look at the comments here and see if there's anyone who said anything that I want to respond to. And I want to look at Ramaima. She say, I must get help. Okay, I think that's interesting. Let's look at other comments here. No, he can't even make it to 2023. Right. I don't think Mnangagwa is that weak. I think Mnangagwa can make it to 2023. And I think this is where the International Crisis Group got it wrong. If you politically leave Mnangagwa alone, he is going to make it to 2023. The only way Mnangagwa can be removed is through an unexpected event. And there's a number of permutations. But the biggest one is someone literally removing him. You cannot remove him politically before 2023 because he has basically eliminated Chamisa and the MDC alliance. He now has an opposition made up of people that agree with him and the other opponents. You saw how many military people passed away this year. So I do not see a threat coming from someone who opposes Mnangagwa. I see a threat coming from an unknown direction. That is the only way that Mnangagwa can be removed. And someone is saying, where is Kalipani Pugeni? I have not talked to Kalipani Pugeni since he was suspended or he resigned, or I don't know what happened there from the MDCT. I do not think he's still the spokesman for the MDCT. I think the guys there are more blessed to say what is happening. I will try to get hold of Pugeni, but I do not see the purpose because if he's not speaking for the MDCT, what we'll be talking about, I think they have to find a new person that I can talk to if they need to communicate. Right, Denford Ngadziwore says, Iwe unongo woman. This is coming from a guy who faked an O-level certificate to go to the Catholic University or to Bindura University, I don't know, some small university that he faked an O-level certificate so that he could be admitted. Then he apologized. That is Denford Ngadziwore, also recalled as a councillor, very corrupt person who was buying stands in huge quantities and selling them in US dollars after buying them for like, I don't know how many bonds very corrupt person, Denford Ngadzore. Right, let's go to another comment. Gambakwe, how are you? Ziza Mushuta, very well, say, how are you? And there is someone who says I meant Chiwenga on that comment that he won't make it to 2023. Okay, that's possible. And then, well, of course, there's a possibility that Chiwenga won't make it 2023 on health grounds. I agree with you. And then I want to go to Robert Ndiweni. Grace Mugabe, she is the queen of Zimbabwe influence. She is the dark horse. Remember, Grace Mugabe said she'll be back in 3 years. So let's see if she's able to come back in 2020 now. Let's see if she's going to come back between 2021 and 2022. Jeremiah Nerera, how reliable are your sources now? This story is coming from the International Crisis Group, from the Southern Africa Resource Watch. That is what they're saying about the gold situation in Zimbabwe, that it's going to influence the next government. I don't know how reliable we can go, but I think the International Crisis Group is quite reliable compared to many other research bodies. You can read the report. Go and look for that report. Very, very detailed. They've looked at all the permutations. I also presented a report last year, in fact, earlier this year, where there was a conclusion that Chamisa would not win the 2023 elections because of division in the opposition, lack of grassroots organization. So all these things are coming true. Do not take lightly the reports from these international bodies. Zimbabwe's situation is very, very bad. There is a lot of very, very rich people and 99% very, very poor people struggling. And if the resource usage was sorted out, if people stopped corruption in government, if people stopped corruption in the councils, people like Jennifer Ngadzore, if people stop smiling at them when they make their jokes, things will go well. If corruption is sorted out in Zimbabwe, if we use our resources properly, we'll do well. But because we are not doing so, then our country is not going to do well. Now, let me see if there's anything here. I don't think this story from Mnangagwa removal is real. Been long time with why Chiwenga seems powerless. I agree with you. Chiwenga will not remove Mnangagwa. I don't think SB Moyo will remove Mnangagwa. And I don't think Mnangagwa will just go by himself. So as I said to you, we need, or there needs to be a fourth faction. And I think it exists already. Someone is plotting and they're going to make sure that they surprise everybody. So that is the only way Mnangagwa can be removed. Otherwise, you're going to have Mnangagwa until 2023. He's not weak. And I do not think the International Crisis Group got it right that Mnangagwa could be removed by anyone who's got control of gold. Because I think Mnangagwa himself controls a big chunk of the gold. And if Chiwenga and SB Moyo cannot move their gold to Dubai, then where can they sell it? It is as good as useless. Right, I think that is enough for the comment. G40 is coming back strong. That is Willie Chauke. I don't think G40 can come into Zimbabwe directly, as I said. They would have to come through a method that is non-conventional. They cannot just walk into Zimbabwe and start influencing events. You heard Sevia Kasukwere saying that ZANU-PF is very, very, G40 is very, very strong in ZANU-PF. Maybe they've got a plan, but it has to be very, very unconventional. And it won't be a political challenge. So no one can openly challenge Mnangagwa. You saw what happened on 31 July. We kept talking about that. If you try to openly challenge Mnangagwa, you won't win. It has to be someone who comes from a direction that Mnangagwa does not expect. And that is the only way that Mnangagwa can even think of surprising Mnangagwa, because you have to be coming from an angle that he does not think you're coming from. And I don't think Moyo and Kasukwere are the people that are going to do that. I think there is someone else that is going to come and surprise Mnangagwa. Right, I think I've talked enough. And Very interesting, Yeketa. You're saying the problem, you are part of this because you only talk about this every day. Uchidana Jonasi. Okay. You should come and we talk. You should come here and we talk. Right. Trust Angweni, I'll give you a call. I've got your number. You can WhatsApp me and you can remove your number from the comments because people will be calling you all the time. So I think we've talked enough. Very, very interesting. You know that the military factor had really been removed after the Chamisa recalls. So when the Chamisa lost the Supreme Court ruling, everything became confused. There was no direction. No one knew where things were going to happen. But I think with this report from the International Crisis Group, we are starting to see again where things could go in 2021. In 2019, going into 2020, we thought General Chiwenga was going to become the man who influences events, and he failed to influence events. And now people are talking of SB Moyo. I do not think he's going to influence events. And as I said, let's keep looking. November is coming to an end. Let's keep looking now to 2021. And I think a dark horse is going to emerge, and we'll keep talking about it. Right, I've really enjoyed talking to you today, and I think I'll end it here. Good night to everybody, and we'll talk again tomorrow. I think tomorrow I'll have Mr. Matapo. We're going to be talking about the situation in Mozambique. If you want to talk to me, if you want to come live, you just WhatsApp me during the day, and we can arrange to see where we can fit you in. Thank you very much for watching, and if you are watching this on YouTube and Facebook, please like, comment, and share. And if I make a shorter version of this, I'm going to put it on our WhatsApp distribution groups, and then we can see how many people watch what we have put out today. Thank you very much, and good night to